Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to Rise and Above Relaunch. Today, we are fortunate to have my friend and my colleague, Don Eggleston, with us. Don, welcome to the program.
Thank you, John. It's good to be with you. Hi, everybody.
Well, you know, we had, I think, a lot of super engaging presenters and speakers, Don. And one of the cool things that we heard was Don Eggleston's name came up repeatedly as people said who they really grew and learned the most from. And so we're thrilled that your quality, true, authentic self shined through on the program and that the audience picked up on it.
Thank you. I flattered by it. I think a lot of that came from people in the room, too. You have to have people who are ready to learn and ready to be vulnerable. And I'm convinced that's why a lot of that took place.
Well, Don, you shared a lot that really caught our attention. Words create worlds was one of them. What does not get transformed gets transmitted was another one of my main takeaways. And yet what we heard back from most of the folks who wrote in was this idea of mission and values and living it individually and organizationally, that this was key. And today on this call, what we wanted to do is spend 8 minutes or so talking about how we can take the ideas and the ideals of mission and values and live it individually and organizationally. So you are the great teacher. We're going to sit back, just ask some questions, and we'll be taking notes, both me here, but also the folks at home, on living mission and values for them each day.
Well, what occurred to me when I talked with John about this was two different mission statements I came across recently. One was from a window company. It was part of a campaign at one point for Pella Window Company, where instead of saying, we make windows out of glass and aluminum and wood and we make the best ones, at that point they used a mantra, we bring the outside world in. We bring this outside world into you by reason of these windows, which immediately elevates what they do. So if you're working in a company where you say, well, all we do is put roofs on, or all we do is ship product around the country, all we do is help people with decisions around strategy or so forth, it's really important to elevate it. I also saw when I was in Wisconsin recently a truck that had a sign handwritten on the side of the truck that said, dirty deeds done cheap. I thought, what a great...
Was it a mob?
It was just one little guy in a little bitty pickup truck with a lot of stuff hanging out of the back of it. And I thought, again, he has communicated what he does. I do these dirty deeds that you probably don't want to do, tearing out shrubs and stuff like that and getting rid of debris, and I do it at a cheap price. So what that says to me is in those instances, people elevate what they do. It's pretty easy in healthcare, quite frankly, to say, we reveal the healing presence of God, we care for people with compassion, kind of things in my organization. But what do you do in your company to get people engaged around why they work? Which is what I think the mission statement does. It says who we are and this is why we work.
Perfect. And Don, I think at our core we understand that this is important. Like it matters what we do at Rise and Above or what an auto manufacturer may do or what SSM, your healthcare organization, may do. The idea that I'm sure a lot of folks are struggling with is how do you do this? How do you make the time for it? And then how do you start drafting through a mission and the values organizationally and then individually? So is there a process that you've leveraged through your work that you can encourage us to also follow through ours?
I do have some ideas of how it worked for us and just observations of other companies. I would say one of the first things is to ask questions. If you get a chance, read some things about something called appreciative inquiry. I mentioned that in my presentation. It's a fabulous way to get an organization to identify what they do that really matters. So the two key questions in that methodology are when we're at our best, what are we doing? When this company is at its best, what are we doing in terms of providing for customers, in terms of the work environment, in terms of return on investment and so forth? And that, if you ask everybody in your place, you'll get some fabulous answers. We sure did. And then secondly, the other question is, if we were at our best, what would it look like here? Because that does say we know we're not at our best. We know we could be better in terms of delivering on our promise to customers. We know we could do a better job. Those questions, how you answer those, I think in turn can then be put in place to say, here's how we recruit and interview and select employees. This is how we do performance appraisals. Where I work, half of our performance appraisal is on certainly the stuff you do, the work you do, the diagnosis that's done, the way treatments are administered technically. The other half of our job description is how do I do it behaviorally?
Wow.
Where do I see the value of compassion? And we have behavioral standards that suggest this is what compassion looks like. This is what respect, this is what excellence, stewardship, and community look like. And that way a manager has a concrete way, to identify for people, these are things we want to have done. This is when we say we're doing our best. I think the other thing on a behavioral level is if a manager can praise people or even leverage criticism and say, this is how you're living the values. So to say, you not only were good to that patient today, you embodied this value of compassion. You embodied this value of respect. And on the other hand, some things I saw today make me concerned about the value of respect and whether it's alive and well.
Beautiful. So frequently we work with organizations that they may have a mission statement maybe hanging up somewhere. They may have it on the back of a business card. But what you're suggesting is that we take it off the business card, we take it off the wall placard, and live it on our hearts through daily responsibilities, through our work responsibilities, through our meetings with the team, and through praising the employees, hiring the employees based on the mission, based on the values.
We have a manager who I ran into about a year and a half ago in one of our hospitals who said, I certainly embrace the mission and values of the organization. It's evident in her. But she said one time she asked her employees on a shift change, what would people say our mission was based on observing us in the last day or two? We have what we call employee huddles, which are kind of like shift change conversations. So they're about patient status and so forth, very important, but they also, in our huddles, we ask questions like, where did we see the value of respect in the last week on this floor? Where did we see the value of compassion? And it gives people a chance to identify that in each other. It makes it very explicit.
So the pushback right now, Don, this takes too long, man. We are already inundated with too many responsibilities at work. There's no way we can take time in these huddles, in these handoffs, to talk about mission and values when there's so many other critical things. What might be your response to that?
My response to it is it doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it stays with people. People need a context for understanding their behavior. It's one thing if I report to John and he says, you didn't have a very good morning, or this wasn't the best way to interact with the customer. But if he can put that in a context for me that says, this is not what we value at Rising Above. This is the opposite, or this really does not approximate what we said we do for people. I think of the opposite. Think of like what shame does to engagement. Think if employees are shamed on a regular basis, what that does to engagement. And I don't even worry, that's unfortunate if it happens. But think about what it does to engagement if employees are told, you made a difference today specifically in this encounter in the light of this. Certainly you helped us bring more business in or repeat business, but my question is, what do you want that person to be and to do to represent your company authentically? And there is no time spent there that's wasted. That is never wasted time.
Thank you. Don, we're going to get the folks paying attention today a checklist of ideas that they can take back, live individually and organizationally. And I know one of the items on that checklist is this idea of being a mentor or having a mentor. And you have some two interesting stories around where this comes from. One maybe a negative, and one an awesome positive. So would you walk us through from your? I think you're old enough to have actually been alive back then.
I was alive back when the ancient Greeks were articulating these stories. They're actually fountainhead of useless knowledge material from me, but here you go. Mentor was the name of a person in Greek mythology who was asked to watch over the son of a king who went to war. It was an actual name of a person who was asked to watch over this loved one when this person went to war. So think of that concept of a mentor as being someone who watches over a person. And it isn't just saying don't go there and don't go there. It's someone who is being asked to nurture a person.
Right.
So if you're in that role where you're a mentor, you are providing direction. And some of the direction can be things like, this is really serving you well. You have immense talents here. Continue to use that strength, continue to act on that. But also, I think a mentor is asking lots of questions that help people to find a direction, find ways to enhance what they do. An example of where in the Greek mythology, again, where the mentor would have been helpful was in the story of Sisyphus, who kept pushing this boulder up a hill, determined to get it up the hill, only to get near the top and lose ground and have it. And he spent his eternity in this story being stuck with doing something that never ultimately mattered. Mentors help us to do things that ultimately matter. They help us get clear about what our limitations are, and if you're in a mentoring role, you can do that for other people. They help us to understand where our strengths are and do we use them as regularly and fruitfully as we can. I think a good question for a mentor to ask is to ask someone, tell me about one of your significant strengths that you have as a person, as a leader, and tell me where you're applying that to the benefit of the company. Tell me, where are you setting boundaries that help you to care for your family as well? Tell me where you have insights that you've been sitting on and not bringing to bear in your organization.
Yeah.
Where are some things where you need more courage to do that? So a mentor is really a guide. It's a person helping you kind of see your way when we are as busy as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And people watching this have great capacity to be mentors. There's no question. No question the people that are our gathering have capacity to be mentors.
Well, Don Eggleston, the folks, one of the requests was we wanted more Don Eggleston. They got a little bit more today. If individuals have additional questions for you, what might be the best way for them to contact you?
I think by my email is probably the thing I answer most quickly, especially when traveling. And I'll give you that. It's Don and an underscore, and Eggleston is spelled Eggleston at ssmhc.com. SSM Healthcare are what those initials are for.
And we'll again link to it on the bottom of this email as well. And we're grateful for the time today. One of my main takeaways is this idea of what to say yes to mentorship. Sometimes that means mentoring others. Sometimes it means asking for help. And also this key idea of saying what to say no to. Mm-hmm. What rock are you pushing up this hill today in your work, in your responsibilities, that you could spend eternity pushing up and never quite get to the top? So, Don, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your mission and values and for living it each day.
Thank you, everyone. John, thank you.
You're welcome, my friends, for this time. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.